Anybody else want to share some stuff that's going on at their parish that's good news?
First lesson outline went out the week of September 21st. And I shared those outlines before we started with the Bible literacy. You know, we're adhering to the framework. And what we've done is make it a single lesson plan for all of your students from pre-K through 5th grade. And by giving them resources so a family could sit down together. So last week was kind of where we, put the rubber to the cement, so to speak. We had sent out an assessment for week 4. So essentially we covered the Bible literacy lesson, and then we did the first 2 EQs for unit 1. And last week we sent out an online Google Doc, which sort of summarized by, having them go through and review the material, kind of check for understanding, and then sit down together and complete this review. And checking the submissions, I would say at this point, we have about 30% of the weekly families who have, gone through with that. So we're sending out reminders, there's really nothing we can do other than gently remind that this is important. So we're getting a feel for how many, everybody picked up their stuff, but whether or not they are moving forward with it. And again, we know they're inundated with things from school. The different districts are all working in different ways. Some chose to stay home. Some of the families chose to stay home. So they're operating in a lot of different formats right now. So we're hopeful. I was thrilled to see what came through. Some beautiful, they're uploading some pictures and activities that they worked on and things like that, just seeing pictures of the kids. So I'm hopeful for what is to come. Our home study families are doing the same process. We have a meeting scheduled for next Monday that'll be virtual, and they're also in the process of submitting evidence of the progress in their children's grade level materials. So
what's the one thing that you learned from all this?
We had a lot fewer. We still have about 450 students. So I was surprised. We tease that St. Lawrence is like St. Procrastination because people under normal circumstances wait till the end anyway. So our numbers went up tremendously towards the end. And so that surprised me in this environment. I think we're maybe up at 50%, overall of where we normally are. And I am surprised by the numbers that actually have gone through with doing what they, what was thrust upon them, essentially. The home study families chose that option, but the people who had registered beginning June 1st for the weekly, we didn't know what was going to happen with that. And they've stepped up to the plate and they're doing, what they, so that I'm very grateful for that.
Good. Thank you so much, Joan. I appreciate it. And she is from St. Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so Amy is from St. Ignatius of Loyola. And so, Amy, you want to tell us what worked for you, what didn't work, and what you learned?
Sure. So we actually have classes happening on campus. We have our pre-K through 12 classes that are meeting on campus, but it took some doing. So I'm just going to kind of share with you a little bit about our process about bringing classes back on campus. And then also, we do also have an online component. So we did not come back at 100%. We came back at 25%. And so we opened up our normal class schedule at 25%. We limited enrollment to 25%. And then based on need and interest, we were ready to open up additional sections if there was a need. What we found was that 25% was about right. About 25% of our families were interested in coming back in person, and about 75% preferred to stay online. And so it just happened to work out that way. Most of the families that have come back on campus are families who are also doing in-person instruction as a part of their school day. So let me just share with you a little bit what we shared with our families. And I'm just going to go through the slides really quickly. We actually, this is me in the corner here. Oh, I guess I should share my screen.
Yeah, share your screen.
That would be helpful.
Hold on, let me put that you can. Okay, you can share your screen now.
All right. So I'm just going to kind of share the PowerPoint. I'm not going to actually go through it because you can see I'm narrating here in the corner. So you probably don't want to sit through the whole 20-minute narration. So I'll just go through the slides really quickly. So we had an in-person orientation for parents. The plan was we chose our largest room. We social distanced. We put 2 chairs between each group. And the plan was that we would also stream it at the same time. So there'd be the meeting happening, we'd have a live stream going at the same time. Well, our technology let us down. So one lesson I learned is never depend entirely on your technology. Always have a low-tech solution for when your technology lets you down. So our low-tech solution was that I went back, took our PowerPoint and just narrated it. And this is what we uploaded. We have a special website just with information about COVID-19 protocols, a special webpage on our website that just has information about COVID-19 protocols where parents can go and have all those questions answered. So this is the little narrated. We introduced our staff. We gave a general overview, the common sense disclaimer. So obviously letting parents know that sending people back in person during a pandemic does have a certain degree.
Amy?
Yes.
Can I ask you to do full screen so we can see everything? It's in blocks.
Right, that's
okay. You wanted it like that?
Yeah, if I do full screen, it's going to start talking at you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. All right, thank you.
So our common sense disclaimer, just telling people, hey, sending people back face to face during a pandemic has some risk involved in it. So we want to be sure that we're clear about that, but that we're using our protocols are in place to minimize those risks. And as long as we're all working together, we can minimize the risk that comes with face-to-face. So our protocols in our Faith Formation Center are the same as in our church. Your temperature is taken, your hands are sanitized. Parents drop kids off in the lobby. They do not come into the building. So we minimize the number of people in the building by only allowing catechists, catechist aides, and of course, parish staff inside the building during faith formation. Obviously, if there's some kind of emergency, the parent lets us know, and then we can deal with those on a case-by-case basis. But parents do not drop kids off at the classroom door, as has been our practice. For junior high and high school, those students are checked in on their own. We have a QR code that we use that parents can scan, and it gives them a series of health screening questions. The same with our junior high and high school kids. They can scan the QR code, answer the health screening questions. And then the other thing we learned is that if you're going to ask health screening questions using a Google form, you have to have somebody actively monitoring the Google form while people are checking in, because it does you no good to know, hey, there was somebody here who says that they were exposed to COVID 3 days after the class, right?
So Amy, I have someone who has a question. She was wondering, are the slides supposed to be moving? Because we're just seeing one slide. Okay.
No.
Good.
I'm just clicking through.
Okay.
So anyway, so these are and I'm happy to give you the link so that you can sit through the whole 20-minute presentation if you want to. We do have a map.
If you could put that link in the chat later on, that way people can copy the chat and use that. That'd be great.
So we do have a requirement that everybody in grade 2 and up must wear a mask when they're in our building, and that the mask must fully cover your nose and mouth. Children younger than 2nd grade, we encourage them to wear a mask, and almost all of them do. We have one little girl, and we were able to work with a family, and they got her a face mask, the kind that comes over the top and not over the bottom. So again, we're having to work with families one-on-one, but there's fewer families coming in person. So we have a better opportunity to do that. Alrighty, we tell them, if you have a fever, if you don't want to follow our rules, if you have persistent coughing, this is not, let's make a deal. You're not coming in the building. And we've had to make that just really clear and upfront so that people understand that we're serious And that has cut right down on any kind of confrontation at the door. Because if people understand up front what's expected of them and what's required of them, then, they'll send you an ugly email or they'll, yell at your pastor, but they don't show up at the door and get a surprise, which, those tend to be the places where conflict happens, where people show up and there's something that they weren't expecting and now they're upset. So just educating people and being very clear about your expectations up front. And then the rest of this is just general information. We did an FAQ. So do students have to wear masks? Yes. How will you maintain physical distance in the classroom? So we explained to them what we're going to be doing. We took chairs out, we took tables out. In the elementary classrooms, we have 6-foot long tables. We put a piece of tape down the middle. We put chairs on either end. So those kinds of things that kind of help parents make the decision about whether or not they feel safe about their kids coming back in person. So I'm going to change my screen now. Any questions about that? So that's kind of what we're doing.
So what worked the best and what did not work?
What worked the best? Oh, I see what I did. I was showing you the wrong thing. La la la. What worked the best was definitely telling people ahead of time, this is what is expected. And we did get a lot of pushback. We got a lot of people who were upset with us, but it all happened before we had parent meetings. It happened before we had classes. So all of that was kind of dealt with offline. And some folks, they had legitimate concerns. There were pastoral concerns that we were able to handle offline in an email or a phone call before the start of classes. So that was really helpful. Knowing our rules, knowing exactly what we were asking of people, knowing exactly what we were going to be doing in this situation, and then clearly communicating that to people ahead of time was very, very helpful. If I learned anything, it's that there are always exceptions to every rule. And so we have to be really clear about how far we can go in offering a pastoral response. I have a catechist, if you have a catechist who says, well, look, I just can't wear a mask. I have asthma, or, I have all these other concerns and I just can't wear a mask. Well, then they just can't be in person in a classroom.
Joan has a question for you. Joan, go ahead. Mute yourself, your hand's up. We can't hear you, Joan.
I didn't have a question.
Oh, your hand's up. I'm sorry. Okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Amy.
Okay, but I am looking at the chat here. I see Sylvia said, how big is your staff? So there's on Sunday evenings, which is our biggest program, there's myself, we have 2 youth ministers and our elementary coordinator. So there's 4 of us. And then our admin who comes in to help sometimes. So there's 5 of us. So obviously we rely a lot on volunteers to help us with these protocols.
Barbara had a question. I think I saw Barbara Elvishon with her hand up.
Yeah.
Yes. Hi, Amy. And we have rooms with 6-foot tables in them as well. So when you mentioned that you've put a piece of tape down the center, so how many kiddos are at one 6-foot table?
6-foot table, line down the middle, kids on either side.
So just 2?
2.
2 per 6-foot table. So how many students then are in a room?
8 to 10.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Depending on the size of the room.
The size of the room, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, our numbers are, we're at 25%. We're at 25%. So we're not talking about, 600 kids on campus. We're talking about 200 kids on campus spread out over 3 sessions. For our junior high and high school program, we have large group and then small group. Well, for our large group, we had to go into, again, we chose our largest room. We went in and we taped 6 feet apart. We made 6-foot markers on the floor And so for our high school large group, when kids come in, they find a piece of tape and they sit there. And that's how we keep them spaced. Same thing with our junior high. We chose our junior high program is smaller. So we chose our second largest room. Same thing. We went in with a tape measure and put pieces of tape on the floor 6 feet apart, and the kids just sit on the floor. After each session, our crew comes in, our maintenance crew comes in. We have a static fogger that comes in, and we disinfect all the rooms. Because we don't have a lot of furniture, we don't have to disinfect a lot of chairs. You know, we don't have couches, nothing soft, hard surfaces, plastic chairs. They're sitting on the floor. When they go into their small groups, we have chairs and tables. But again, 2 kids at each 6-foot table, and our high school and junior high small groups are no more than 10 kids this year. So we do have online learning happening at the same time for junior high and high school. We film the talks that are given so the kids can actually watch the talks on Sunday evenings. And then they go into their live small groups. So we use Zoom. We use our breakout sessions in Zoom. And there's 2 adults in each small group that are talking with the kids over Zoom based on the talk that they've just seen that Sunday night. So it takes a lot of coordination, and it takes a lot of planning ahead to make all that happen every Sunday night.
The other person we were going to have, thank you, Amy. The other person we were going to have talk was Annette, but yesterday her pastor planned a meeting, and we all know how that goes, right? So Annette sent me some stuff. I'm not going to read all of it. I'll read some highlights, but I will email what she said to everybody when I do the attendance, okay? But basically, they did 3 formats. They had adult faith formation, family faith formation digitally, and family faith formation blended. So the digital is the model they used that was most successful. Many of their small groups were really enjoying the format and connecting with the parents. Other than tweaking a few things in the Zoom from their end to make it possible, things ran pretty smooth. The emails we're sending back and forth were friendly and not overwhelming. They had the essential question, the learning targets for the adults and the kids. It seems like the parents with elementary kids were doing much better than those with teens in junior high and high school, which surprise, right? They're hosting their introduction to digital meeting this week and hosting for Unit 1 review. The other one was a family formation blended. This model was for the most part successful, not as successful as the digital. They provided families explicit instructions on safety guidelines and protocols to follow during the drop-off and pickup. Parents were responded really well to these guidelines. Hall monitors have been the VIPs, and they were fantastic to make sure things were flowing well. Small groups leaders, which are the catechists, meet with the children and teens. We hosted introduction meetings 3 weeks ago, and everything went well. Sunday, Unit 1 campus was on campus, and they got similar feedback from the catechist. Most went well. The small group leaders and catechists are responsible to keep in touch with the families between the units and better assess what the families are doing. Most catechists and small group leaders are doing this very well, and they're doing it by email and text. They're shifting mentally around to what catechesis is now, and there's no longer a drop-off in catechism role, and they're not going to go back to that. There's a shift with giving back to the parents their right to catechize. They have not started the sacraments preparation yet, but the model they have is good on paper. So far, they have 418 children and teens enrolled, plus their parents that are being catechized, and 20 volunteer adults. They have about 60% compared to last year, and they're at St. Edward's. So I will send this to everyone who attended so you get it in more detail, but that's kind of the gist of what went on at St. Edward's. So anybody else would like to share before we go into sacraments? What worked, what didn't work? Something that you learned that you'd like to share with everyone, because I love learning from other people's mistakes.
Well, I'll share what we're doing at Mary Queen. Okay. And we had folks sign up we never stopped registration. So yes, there was a surprise for some when we started up that all the instruction will be done in the comfort of your home. So what I've learned is less is more. Me sending out an email to all my parents, and then I had catechists sign up as coaches, so they would take a grade level, or for our home study group, we did it by families. So they're getting an email if they have more than one child from their grade level coach, another email from me. It just finally hit the fan, and it determined it was too much. So that was my lesson learned. I backed off. I have a Facebook page that I can post things on, and the coaches now are keeping it simple. If you don't do anything else, read the Sunday Gospel. We're using FLOM. Read the Sunday Gospel and then talk about it, talk amongst yourselves. You know, that's the number one thing. If you have time, we'd like you to do this, that, and the other. So that was my message, and that was well received when I put that out to parents as well as the coaches, getting good feedback. So I think I underestimated the amount of stress everyone is still under, that they're not there sitting on the edge of their seat waiting to hear from their faith formation department on what's new this week and what you can do at home.
Thank you so much, Barbara. Got an email, a chat that all the St. Edward coordinators are there. So if you have any questions, you can ask them. They'll answer. Sarai is on the line. So you may have any questions for St. Edward's that they can answer.
I had a question for Joan, is that I kind of came in late to the beginning, and she may have said this already, but it sounded like you've made a decision at this point not to meet in person for the elementary kiddos. And I wondered how you arrived at that decision.
A big part of it has to do with our spacing. The parish runs a weekday children's program. So we've got our Ave Maria Center, which has about 15 dedicated rooms for CCE and another 10 downstairs that are part of the weekday children's program. And they've been open for their daycare program to essential workers. And so typically we would share rooms with them for our kinder and first graders. And we're not allowed to do that. There's been a decision made, that because of all the numbers of different children coming in and out, that they've got other protocols that they have to adhere to with the state. So we're not at liberty to use those rooms. And then upstairs, we've got 15 rooms that are all about the same size. In our typical setup, we have it's 8-foot-long tables kind of stacked together to create this big square, and we put 15 chairs around it. Well, that's about all we can fit in that room. Literally, when we walked it off, we'd be able to maybe put, with the 6-foot distancing, maybe 4 children and a catechist in the room. So, it just is not. Plus, I'm really curious, Amy, we did not have that many people sign up to be catechists. I think a lot of our catechists are parents, and due to all the uncertainty, I think normally I have about 85 to 100 volunteers. And I had like 16 committed to coming back. I mean, it's just not doable, in that scenario. So a lot of those things have played in. As a parish, it's been decided that the priority this year will be on the middle and high school students. And the youth ministers are working towards getting the ones who want to be back on campus coming back in the next couple of weeks, and doing all the same things that Amy has talked about with her program that's already running. So that's kind of where we're at. I hate to admit that in an open forum that we probably won't be back, but I've got myself prepared for that. I just don't see it happening for us. I've already prepared lesson outlines almost for this whole semester, and then I'll start digging into next semester as well. So,
thank you, Joan.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Cruz is from St. Bernadette's, and he'd like to share. And Matt, we got about 10 minutes before we need to move it on over to the sacrament. So,
no worries.
Please share.
Yeah, a lot of what we've been doing here at St. Bernadette's is actually kind of what Annette from St. Edward's has said from kind of the highlights that you brought. We've been doing, we're in kind of like our second phase of our whole family transition from last year. And because of that, we've really leaned into using not only our website, but also sending out weekly flock notes from all of our directors, so that on a Friday, they can receive a flock note knowing kind of what their family can do throughout the whole weekend, but also understand how each, because many of our families have multiple kids in different ages and have different directors. So kind of giving all of the information to them at once so that the family can kind of pick and choose how they want to do things. That's the virtual side. But then once a month, we've tried to have live events so that the family can kind of see real time kind of what's happening and what's going on. And so the virtual has been going good. Next week, and I can probably email you an update, Debbie. But next week we're going to have a parent session of just talking with just the parents on a Zoom call and kind of seeing how this whole experience was not being physically on campus.
So Amy said that they sent a survey to their faith formation families and asked who had their kids in person instructions in school, among other things. Use this as a place to begin for recruiting in-person catechists. Good idea. Good. Well, thank you, Matthew. I appreciate you sharing. It sounds like everybody is doing well. We're all learning as we go, and you know, that quick two-step, right? We're trying to dance around with situations, but it sounds like everyone's doing well. I'm going to go ahead and give Juan Carlos full host. He's going to be the host from now on, and he's going to go into sacraments. Does anybody have any other questions before we move on to sacraments? Okay, Juan Carlos, it's all for you.
Thank you so much, Debbie, and thank you everyone for sharing with us all the wonderful things you're doing. Before I invite Daniela, who I've asked to share some of the things that she's been doing with Sacramental Formation over there at Sacred Heart in Conroe, wanted to give you some updates in the different trainings that we are scheduling that we have coming up. And also, I wanted to go ahead and share a little bit about our new LMS, Learning Management System, Capernaum. I know you've been hearing about it. I know Debbie, Brian have been in different deanery meetings and also speaking about it. But I wanted to take the opportunity to also invite you. So I'm going to share my screen here. And you should be seeing my Capernaum screen now. And so basically, many of you have already logged on. I can see that many have your picture there. So that tells me that you've been in there and you already registered and have been using it. In the very near future, all of our registrations are going to come through Capernaum. So any trainings, whether it's live in the future, hopefully very soon, or whether it's online trainings, they're going to go through Capernaum. So it's becoming very, very important that you come in and go ahead and claim your account. If you've had any training through our office from 2009, I believe, on to the present, the last 10 years or so, you will have an account. So if you are not sure, reach out, let me know. There's different ways that you can check on whether you have an account. I'm actually just going to go to the starting page here. So you can always go to, don't click on create an account, click on need help over here. If you haven't changed your email address, if it's the same one that you've been using, you can always go to forgot password using your email, and I will give you your password. If you go on to create a new account and you already have an existing account, it goes through a review process anyways. So if you've had any training with us in the last 10 years, you should have an account. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions about logging on to Capernaum, because every registration from now on basically will come through Capernaum. So in the realm of sacramental formation, I did want to share that we have enabled the connect ability. So I'm going to go ahead and show you. You should be seeing my Capernaum screen, and I'm going to connect. And of course, it kicked me out because it's very finicky about switching screens. So I'm just going to log back in. Here we go. It doesn't like you working on multiple tabs. So anyways, So I've created a group for infant baptism. We've been doing a lot of infant baptism trainings. So everybody that I've had information on our database, which amounts to, 63 people had accounts already on Capernaum. So I already sent the invitation. You can tell here the ones that have pictures is because they've already been there. So kudos to Aida, Matthew, Camila, that I can see you've updated your picture. So the reason I'm showing you this is because the different trainings that we've been doing for the new infant baptism formation program, Springs of Faith, those two videos are already linked to this community. So a couple of things I already mentioned. Go ahead and go in and claim your account, or let me know if you have any questions. Number two, if you are directly in charge of infant baptism, and you have not been getting the invitations, you do not know anything about this new program called Springs of Faith, do reach out, give me a call, because we've been doing and we will continue to do trainings about this new formation program that we created in collaboration with Loyola Press. It's called Springs of Faith. We already have the initial overview of the program, and we did a training for program director of infant baptism. So do reach out. Please let me know so I can add you to my list of contacts for infant baptism, whether it's English or Spanish. Make sure to reach out and let me know so I can include you in this group and you have access to all the trainings. So when you go to the group, you have access to the trainings. There's some news there, some postings. So what I'm about to tell you is right here also. There are 3 components to Spring of Faith. So we already did like the overview, and now we're going to go training into the different components of the program. So for instance, the Discover phase of Spring of Faith, we have a training coming up November 10th at 10 a.m. and the link is there. I'm also going to give you all this information in a Dropbox link in a minute. But just to show you the kind of things, the benefits of making sure that you're connected there, all of the training will be centralized here. Your record, your transcript will be there, and all those things. So make sure that you're reaching out for that. So now I'm going to share. What I'm going to share now is the different dates that I'm talking about right now. So this is the November 10th that I mentioned to you. We do have a Spanish. I know that a lot of people have been asking. So for Springs of Faith, or Manantiales de Fe in Spanish, we're going to have a November 19th at 7 p.m. training. This is for program directors, and I will send you all of this information, the links and everything will be shared with you in a moment. Julie has also been sharing this information in the director's letter that she sends out every month, so you'll have that. So again, if you haven't heard about infant baptism preparation, this new program is a program that Cardinal Leonardo has expressed his desire that everybody implements it in the parish. It's very solid, and not just because Julia and I helped write it, we did, and we're very proud of the work that we did. Many other people in the Archdiocese also cooperated. There's many writers, people in the parish, Sarah Fontana, Brian Garcia Luenez, he also, I think, wrote an article as well as Office of Worship, because we had a set of things that we wanted to have in infant baptism training, and one of them was the liturgical component, that it very much be aimed at the understanding of the celebration and so as to properly celebrate. So anyways, make sure that you access all of those trainings on Capernaum if you already haven't done so. The next thing is, yes.
Juan Carlos, do you mind if I just say something really quickly?
Go right ahead.
You're talking about that?
Sure.
So some of you may be sitting out there saying, well, I'm not responsible for infant baptism, so he's going on and on about this, and this doesn't really have anything to do with me. But I want to suggest that there's a good chance that it might, even if you're not responsible for infant baptism. Because you mentioned that there are 3 components to this program, and really only the middle component is what we might call sort of immediate preparation for infant baptism. The first one that he mentioned, Explore, is really general adult formation at an incredibly basic level, I mean, sort of an initial evangelization program. So those of you who are out there who are responsible for any kind of adult programming, you're going to want to make sure that you get with whoever in your parish does infant baptism and take a look at those components, because it can be used independent, and really should be used independent of your infant baptism program. It's a very general evangelization program. And the third component is really early childhood and family formation. Again, that can and should be used independent of just the families that are going through infant baptism program. So when he's talking about this thing, if you're not responsible for infant baptism, it may still be incredibly relevant for you and your ministry.
Yes, thank you so much, Brian. Absolutely. There's so many possibilities. It comes with a flexibility. I mean, that's one of the things that we ask for any type of sacramental formation, and that's one of the requests that we have for Loyola Press. And absolutely, I mean, they delivered with infant baptism in those 3 different stages that can be, again, applied for evangelization. For that first stage of infant baptism, you can invite young families, young couples. Of course, you have the meat of it, which is the actual sacramental formation, and then the part afterwards to keep families engaged. That can be also be engaging the early childhood centers or the beginnings of early childhood catechesis. So absolutely, thank you, Brian, for that reminder. The next thing about sacramental formation that we're doing coming up is adult confirmation. Same thing, if you didn't get an email from me yesterday with the updates on adult confirmation, and you are either in charge or interested or need to know about it, let me know, because that means you're not on my list. I make an effort to update my list continuously. It has over 200 people. Some of them I had to clean yesterday, right? Because every time it's different. So the first thing, always let me know if you didn't get that email from me yesterday. I email you every time there's news. And the reason I emailed people yesterday is just to let you know that, yes, as far as we know, as of today, as of right now, there is still a January set of celebrations happening. Both the bishop and the office of worship have informed us that those are still planned. The only thing I know about them is the date, January 10th, and that there may or may not be 4. We actually send a survey along with the email asking you to kind of report if you have any candidates that you're planning on sending. So if you did get that email, do please respond to the survey. I did get a bunch of responses yesterday. And again, if you didn't get that email and you need to know about adult confirmation, let me know so I can include you on that list. Also yesterday, a reminder that as of right now and until the end of the year, what Cardinal DiNardo, the information that he sent last July, still applies. Adults that were prepared and did not celebrate last Pentecost because of the pandemic can celebrate along with the youth. And so this still applies until the end of the year. So that's since last July the 1st, still ongoing. Anybody that was prepared after Pentecost during the summer, some of you were brave enough to still be preparing adults during the summer. Some of you have started, some of you have plans to start very soon. So anybody that will be ready to celebrate confirmation can be sent to one of these celebrations in January. We will have on October 27th at 2 p.m. Initially I had it at 10, but there's a conflict with that. So now the updated time is 2 p.m. October 27th, Tuesday at 2 p.m. There will be an adult confirmation training meeting. What are we covering? We're covering how to use the Archdiocesan formation resources. Many of you know about them. A lot of you probably may not if you're fairly recent in leadership. We actually have a whole set of full-fledged program for preparation of adults for confirmation that includes 10 lessons of proximate preparation, includes an outline for a retreat, and includes also 6 sessions of immediate preparation. It's available both in English and Spanish. It uses the Catechism for Adults, the U.S. Catechism for Adults, and it's available online and it's completely free. So we sat down and wrote this program because there was not a whole lot of resources for adult confirmation, so it's there. So we're gonna handle both what they are, how to use them, and also the online adaptations. If you need to continue do information online, these resources can be easily adapted for online use, especially since the textbook, the Catechism for Adults, is available online free of charge from Wonder of Wonders at USCCB. But I digress. Same thing that Brian mentioned for infant baptism. Same thing for this adult confirmation. The 10 lessons for proximate formation can be used in adult formation context. So either as a basis or a continuation of your adult formation efforts, you can also use the 10 proximate lessons. So again, even if you're saying, oh, adult confirmation, that's not my cup of tea, but you're involved in adult formation, well, you may still want to be involved in my email list and also in coming to this training to learn how to use these resources. We talk about the lessons, why they're written the way they are. It was the first resource that we wrote using our new way of doing things that now you see in the curriculum. So it was also the first program to be correlated to the framework. So it is it's getting up in years. We probably need to revisit it. I know Sharon is there probably looking at me. And they need to revisit it, but we're also very proud of that effort, and it is a pioneering effort in those areas.
Juan Carlos,
yes,
could you share some passwords? Some people have forgotten the password to get into that. And also, when you get to talk about First Communion reconciliation, we have a lot of requests for passwords.
It is coming up on, oops, no, not just to one person. I need to send it to everybody. All right, coming up.
So they can look in their chat feature for that, right? For the password info?
Correct. And
okay, thank you. And
very simply is the website, ARCH. Lower caps altogether. So the password is ARCH for those sacramental guidelines. So anyway.
ARCHGH. If you left the H off there.
Oh, what did I do? Oh, Jesus. Sorry. ARCHGH.
There you go.
Thank you.
Now, is that the password or the username? Do they need just that?
So for the, I'm just looking at Amy. She makes me laugh. It is a password. You don't need a username for the guidelines. It's a PDF that is password protected. So when you go on the website and click on the appropriate guideline, it's a PDF that seems like it's going to open, but it asks you for the password before you, it tantalizes you thinking it's going to open, but it won't open until you enter ARCHGH. So Gina, English and Spanish for adult confirmation, the resources, yes, all the materials, all the lessons, PowerPoints, prayers.
Yes, I've actually been using those, but I want to make sure that you didn't change the adult confirmation training upcoming in both English and Spanish, because I had asked that and you said it's not yet there.
Correct.
I just want to make sure you didn't update and change.
Correct. So the upcoming adult confirmation training is in English. Unless there's somebody in Spanish, I can obviously handle both. So I could kick it bilingual too. So at any rate, very well. That's what I had for you on the upcoming trainings. And the last part, I wanted to invite Daniela Gonzalez from Sacred Heart in Conroe. For those of you that are still building your upcoming First Sacraments formation, or if you need to hear some ideas on how to incorporate certain things to help parents, Sacred Heart in Conroe is one parish that I noticed we're doing really good things. So I've asked Daniela to come and share with us. So I will make you a co-host now, Daniela, and that way you are able to share your screen, and I will stop sharing mine, and the floor is yours. Thank you, Daniela.
Thank you, Juan Carlos. I'm gonna share my screen. So like he said, I'm Daniela from Sacred Heart, and this is what we're doing since March when everything started. We had to stop the classes. We couldn't meet anymore because we used the Sacred Heart School to be able to bring the children of CCE and sacraments in the school, but for the safety of everyone, we couldn't bring the children in the school. So per our pastor, Father Philip, he wanted to be everything online, and only 2 classes per month and 1 class per month for the parents. So for the students, this is what we're doing. We're doing twice a month by Zoom, 7 through 8. And of course, prior to all this, I had a meeting with the parents. I explained them with the registration, how everything was gonna work. And the classes is twice a month, again, from September to November for our pastor. And we decided that it was quality versus quantity. And these are the classes that we wanted to concentrate, to be able for the kids to have, as much as possible. And because with school also in the beginning was through Zoom, and with a lot of changes, parents going through a lot, so we just wanted to keep it simple. So we have 10 Spanish classes, average of 15 students, and we have 2 catechists per class. We have through grades 2nd through 8th, and then 5 English classes, also with an average of 15 students, also grades 2nd through 8th, and 1 bilingual special needs. And I will go over the bilingual, and they do come here in the parish. That's the only class that there are coming. And we wanted also to adapt because Sacred Heart is 80% Hispanic. So we didn't want it to push too much on the technology part because we wanted to meet them where they are. And some parents don't know still how to use a lot of technology. So right now, out of 230 kids that we have registered, at least only 2 that are coming here in person because of computer or internet issues. And other than that, all the parents are doing great on their phones or computers. So I also, I don't have an assistant, so me, myself, and I also want to be pastoral to them and be able to feed their needs, wherever they need, I'm here for them. So these are the classes that we're having. The first one, just meet the catechist, where the catechist explain them who they are, how many years I had as a catechist, so the kids feel comfortable. And it was a different scenario from being in Zoom for class, English classes or math classes. It was going to be a little different for catechists and the children. So the second class that God loves us, and we also wanted to incorporate that as the new directory, and we saw last Monday and yesterday that we want to continue and proclaim the kerygma also to the children. So that we wanted to put that also because the children were going through a lot, with all these changes, not knowing what was going on, why do I have to wear a mask, and all these changes. We just want to put that there so they know, God loves us, and He always did, He always will, and He will be with us. So the 7 sacraments and 10 commandments, and of course the rite of reconciliation. In December the 3rd, we will have a night of prayer through Facebook where all the families get together and see it. Last year we were able to have it here in the parish, but because we can't meet, at least we use Facebook. That's another web that we use, and they will have that as a class. So families can be together, and we also catechize through that, that prayer as a family is important. So for the special needs kids is in person. We only have 10 children, and we ask the parent, just one parent, to come with them. And of course, we take the precautions needed as taking the temperature, answer some questions, and we have a big room, so they're 6 feet apart with a parent and a student and 1 table each. And then we divide the catechists. We have 5 catechists that come with them and sit together. And special needs, I mean ADHD, autism, and things like that they required in person, because through Zoom and the computer, it's hard for them to focus. In same classes, but of course they are adapted to them, so they understand. For us, for me, mainly, because like I said, it's me, myself, and I, communication is the key to able to, be there for what their needs are. And I use Remind, which is free, and also the WhatsApp app, which is also free. The catechist send them, the parents, each student, each parent, the link, which is the same. We wanted to keep it the same so they don't get confused each time there's class. They know it's the same and the time. So also for the catechists, they don't mind using their cell phone and be able to communicate with that. So the catechists also feel more like a sponsor for the family, walking them through their faith and their classes, and for the children to know and learn for God. So last year we used to use OSB for the children and Blessed by the second graders. But since we learned in March, the parents weren't picking up the packets. They're also needing to be evangelized. And so it was hard. It was really hard. It was a little too much for them, and they weren't doing it. So we just put a packet together with Father Philip, what had the prayers and, of course, the topic for each class. So they follow along with the catechist. And that way they don't feel overwhelmed, or even the parents with homework and all this. They didn't feel that overwhelmed of, we have to do all this book and we have to read. And, which really that's how all their grades for the children, kindergarten through when they graduate, it's the ideal. But we wanted to be realistic and believe, we can evangelize still and teach them, right? Because some of the parents are not evangelized, so they don't know, they don't do it often. And as we know that they come for baptism, and then after that, they don't come for to receive their children first communion. So we wanted to keep it simple. We also have a live stream Facebook for the parents. So that class with the OSB book for the parents, that's what we use. That can help the parents, and the parents can help the children at home. That's the Spanish one, Sacramento Sagrado Corazon, and Sacred Heart Catholic Church for Facebook. We also had an online Kerygma retreat, and that also helped. We used to have it in person, and we had at least 200 parents come. And after the retreat, the results from the parents then wanted to teach their children and to evangelize. It was great, and we liked it. And Father Philip wants it now every year. So this year we had to do it online. And the classes for the parents are on this page. And so we just wanted to keep it simple. What didn't work for us, like I said, give them a whole book or a whole resources, or you have to submit your tests and go through here and Google Class. It was just a lot, and it's overwhelming for the parents. Again, because 80% is Hispanic, so they're not used to this. We can teach them, of course, but it was just too much for right now because of the families going through a lot. So that's what it didn't work, just having to do a whole bunch. So we just wanted to keep it simple. And of course, me being here for them and for the catechist also. And for the catechist, like today, we will give a class for the 7 sacraments just to kind of give them extra resources. So when they give their class, they already know, and they have extra resources also to give to the children and the parents. So that's kind of what we're doing. I don't know if anybody has any questions or anything.
Thank you, Daniela. I know you're still using OSB as a resource. I mean, I know I'm going to help you with one of those lessons. So you're still using the resources. You're still teaching using those resources, but at the same time, like you said, adapting it to their needs and offering other venues of formation. I mean, I one of the things I liked was a component, like you said, of the Kerygma. I always preach about doing that in Sacramento catechesis, that we need to make it an evangelizing catechesis, any type of catechesis, and even the Sacramento catechesis as well, that it needs to have that component of the proclamation of the Kerygma and a constant reminder. But oftentimes we assume that they know that they have heard that proclamation, and we know, as you mentioned, that that's not always the case. So that was another thing that I wanted to highlight in your adaptation, that it has that component. So it has flexibility, trying to meet them where they are. A lot of you people were using Facebook, so you're using that. In the Hispanic community, for whatever reason, they're using WhatsApp. So you had to learn WhatsApp. I know I had to learn that too. That's one more thing I had to do. But it's about learning where they are and communicating with them in whatever means is best for them. Any things that didn't work that you had to change course on? Anything that didn't quite work as expected? Anything like that?
Besides issues with the internet for some parents and not having the right equipment, which I only have a few parents, you know, they're on board. Yesterday I had a meeting with the parents if they had any questions, and they feel, you know, that this is easy, but also something that they can learn a lot for them and their parents. Of course, we also ask them to go to mass. Sadly, we have to remind them, you know, that's something that sadly we have to keep asking them, you have to go to mass. And so in the beginning of the class, the catechist asked them if somebody wants to share what they heard or what the message that stuck to them on the homily. So we're, thank God, you know, we're doing good, and that we learned that the less is the better, and quality is most important over quantity of how much the kids have to do or turn in.
Yes, and I can talk from experience, having 3 children in elementary, and they're still going in online classes. I can tell you, I hear you that communication is key, and then but not too much, not overwhelming them. As a parent, I can tell you my biggest peeve with my children doing online work is the fact that it's not easy for me to find out what they need to do. They're using Schoology, right? And it's great, everything's there, but I need to click on each course and find out the date. You know, I have to click like 3-4 times before I get to the date to find out if they have any homework that day. So it takes a while just to, I mean, for me, the takeaway, the lesson is, I as a parent, I would like everything concise, you know, listed, either email or written down. Make it easy for them. And I hear you and other folks that's definitely one of the aims, to have all the information needed. Debbie has a raised hand. Still?
Yeah. One of the things that I learned a long time ago is when you send something out, send it in at least 4 different formats, because, you know, you don't know which one they're going to hit, you know, hit Facebook or hit Twitter, hit email, whether it's, you know, the old-fashioned letter way, but you should try to notify them 4 different manners. You know, don't rely on just one communication blast.
That is very much the case. So any other questions, any other issues that you'd like to bring to the fore? We're coming to the hour mark.
Before we leave, I would like Julie or Ryan to promote Proclaim, and Ron Carlos, if you can kind of go on your Capernaum site again and show them how they register. But Julie, if you'll kind of promote it and explain to them what Proclaim actually is.
Okay, so 2 years ago, we had a live Proclaim at Prince of Peace, and it was the first year to do a ministry conference. And that year, it was started out with just the catechetical offices. So it was our office and OACE, and we started it off. This time, worship has entered into it, young adult, and Respect Life. And so all those offices are involved in the planning and preparation for this Proclaim conference. And as usual, things that happen, this one's online, right? It's virtual. But I think it's going to be very well done. We've got several keynote speakers that will be live. So we will be streaming them. You will have to get them at the time that they're there, or I'm sure there'll be a recording available later. Most of the workshops will be pre-recorded ahead of time. And what's kind of cool about it is that you make your own time. So you have to be there for the keynote speakers, but for the workshops, you can kind of go in anytime you want to go in. You know, they're always there and available for you. So that's, when we attended NCCL conference, it was very much like this. I think they were one of the first conferences to be virtual. And that was one of the really cool features I liked. You know, if I had to do something at work, I was able to do it and then just go in, you know, a half hour later and click on the workshop. And I could also attend more than one. You know, when you're live, your only person can go to one workshop, and you say, oh, but I would have liked to have seen the others. Honey, you can see all of them if you want to, you know, through this format. It's just really neat. And then there'll be a discussion room where we will get together live. I know Debbie and I are meeting with Angie Palmetto to kind of flesh that out, what that's going to look like. But it's an opportunity for you to bring the beverage of your choice. And, oh, looky, there's our keynotes. And, you know, kind of gather around, and we'll get into different rooms and discuss our experience of the day with some guiding questions. The workshops are available in English and Spanish and in Vietnamese. All right, so get the word out to your folks. I know that Capernaum is sending them automatically because I got an automatic one today on how to register. So you should be getting those. And if not, I just sent to all my folks in the office to send to all their constituents and people that they know the email that we got today. This is one we got today, right? Juan Carlos, are you showing that one? Is this what they showed us today, the Brian sent out? Or
well, yeah.
This is actually on. This is actually the.
Oh, now you're actually online, right? And there's what I like is there's a registration guide there too, because if you're going to register for the conference, you're going to go through Capernaum. So if you don't have an account, it'll lead you through how to sign up for an account. It's free. We don't sell any of your information. Make sure your catechist knows that. We don't sell your contact list to anybody. So yeah, look at, so there
yeah,
I
do want to make something. Capernaum is free, Proclaim is not.
Correct. So Capernaum is running how much, you guys? I didn't even look. Is it 30?
You mean Proclaim?
25. Proclaim is 25, I believe. 25?
Okay, 25, we hear it. So yeah, so go take a look. I think it's going to be a really good way to conferencing. I just sent this information to the other directors of Texas so that those of them that could not do a conference, maybe they can send this out to their folks in their diocese. It went out to Austin and Beaumont and trying to think, everybody, Laredo, and all of them. So hopefully we'll get some people from outside our diocese to register too. That's the beauty of it. You can go even if you're not there.
And we ask that
there's no fee for Echo apprentices, Barbara. They're always free, okay? They know what code they have to enter. The workshops will be available after the conference is over. I think Brian Henritzi is working on that, and he's trying to make them available for a month after Proclaim.
One of the things I would like for you to do is not only send it to your catechists, because of course they would love it, but to send it to all your ministry leads, because this is a ministry conference, not a catechetical conference. So send it to your liturgy coordinator or your pro-life coordinator, anybody that is on your church staff. Send it to everybody and and ask them to send it to the people that they work with, because this is for all ministries.
Yeah, we may not have everybody's information that would be interested in attending this. I know Sister Maria Gretti's been very busy with the Vietnamese community and getting it out even to the parents. They're sending it to the parents if they want to go. So no limit here. Just, go ahead and spread the news. Oh, and Juan Carlos, I was going to say that let everybody know that for the infant baptism program, you got the information to the diaconate too. That's been very hard to get in there, to get the information to our deacons. So your deacons, if they're doing baptism in English or Spanish, they got the information on Springs of Faith, okay? And isn't one of the professors that teaches the sacrament course going to promote?
Well, yes, no, we reached to the director of the diaconate program, so I know. So the first training, we saw a lot of them, so I know that he shared the word. And also now to one of the professors at the seminary, he actually reached out, and we're happy to share the resources so that he may be aware and mention. those folks are in formation for the academy. So that was a great thing for us. So at any rate, to register, you can access it through that carousel when you go to the learners homepage in Capernaum. It doesn't show on my feature tiles here because I already registered, but it will also show in one of these tiles for you. But it's right there in one of those carousel images once you sign on to Capernaum. So there it is. Anything else, Debbie?
Yeah, can Brian, I know we're having a little trouble hearing you, but can you talk to them about their transcript information that they'll find on here and maybe things they may not find in that transcript and when you think that'll be there?
Oh, sure. So, I mean, Juan Carlos, maybe if you just, so, right, if you go and you look at your transcript, the first thing that you'll see is what you currently have active. But if you want to see the things that you've completed, you just need to go to that thing right there and choose completed. There are a few things from this spring and summer that we're still working on getting in there. Things like Genesis, for example, aren't in there yet. A few things that it might take us a little while. If the registration was done either on Zoom or on Cvents this spring or summer, it might not be there yet as we work through that. One of the reasons why all registration is going to be through Capernaum here moving forward, so that it does automatically get recorded there moving forward.
Okay, thank you. And Debbie, I saw a question there. If attending this will count toward their catechist renewal certificate?
The forum does not. It's like a meeting, but attending the Proclaim, yes, the Proclaim will count towards their formation and most trainings, but the forum is more a meeting for all the PCLs, so it would not count as continuing education.
Yeah, and the beauty about that is that you will see this instantaneous thing. Nobody has to scan you in or anything. You register for Proclaim and you attend, you will find in your transcript almost immediately that you attended that. You know, so you're going to see that auto feature of how it automatically just goes into your record.
The training parts, the Springs of Faith training goes on there. All the trainings that we are offering goes on there, but the forums do not, because it's like a large deanery meeting. We just give you a lot of information. But hopefully we'll see everyone at Proclaim. It should be a great event. Take a look at all the topics and all the great speakers we have and sign up. Are there any other questions about Capernaum, about sacraments, about anything you've heard is coming down the pike that you'd like the information on before we leave? No? Okay. All right. Well, I will, do we have a deacon that's online? Do we have a deacon? I don't see my deacon Tomas. They can give us a blessing. If not, Brian, would you close us with prayer?
I think I'm a deacon.
You're a deacon? Good.
Yeah, I'm not Sadai, but I'm a deacon.
Okay, deacon. Would you please give us a blessing then as we leave?
Sure. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Amen. Lord Jesus, as we lift our hearts and our minds to the souls of all of our parishioners and all of those who are seeking education in the faith, we ask you, Lord, may Almighty God bless all of those in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, Lord, who spread the good news to you. Amen.
Amen. God bless everybody, and we'll see you the next forum will be in January after your holidays. So we will see you then. God bless.
Bye.